Hey guys, I'm Devin.
I'm Diego.
And I'm Max.
We're Burrito, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what makes a fight scene memorable. Specifically, anime. I'm sure it can be applied to your favorite TV shows and movies as well. But we're going to be really hunkering down on anime. I believe we've really narrowed it down to to just a specific few things, and we're going to go ahead and get right into those. So, what we were discussing prior to recording. We did say that the very first thing that makes a fight scene memorable is shared history between characters. And I believe, Max, you were saying that Naruto versus Sasuke, right?
Yeah, Naruto versus Sasuke is literally the ultimate form of shared history.
Could you go a little more into that? Like, what kind of history you have on the
Because
character?
this fight is the accumulation of the entire series of both these characters' journeys. We see them start out like as just two kids, and it eventually leads to them being adults, literally beating each other down to the ground, like at the end. But what makes it interesting is we see a bunch of smaller fights that give us a taste of what this eventually will come. Like when Naruto and Sasuke both learn their signature moves, they have a fight on the roof, and then when Sasuke tries to leave the village, they have another small fight, and they keep getting a little more intense and a little more intense and a little more greater in scope until we finally get to this final battle we've all been waiting for.
And I want to add to that because for a while, the interactions between Naruto and Sasuke, it seems like Naruto is so far behind, with the exception of the one on the roof where Sasuke didn't realize that the Rasengan was so much stronger than the Chidori. Every other interaction that they have until Sasuke beat Danzo, all of those interactions are Sasuke dominant, right? Sasuke wins in the Valley of the End. Sasuke stomps Team 7 at the beginning of Shippuden. When they have the brief interaction with Danzo, Sasuke's like, I could beat you three, but it won't be easy. And it's all Naruto trying to catch up. And we're finally at a point in the final fight where Sasuke is behind, right? We know this because Sasuke absorbs the tailed beast.
Naruto.
No. Well, Naruto gets given the tailed beast. Sasuke traps the 9 beasts in the Chibaku Tensei and absorbs their chakra versus Naruto in the final fight.
Okay.
And one of the things that shows like a shared history between the two characters is the very beginning of the fight when it's just taijutsu, and Naruto keeps trying to make the Shadow Clone Jutsu symbol. And Sasuke keeps kicking his hands, swatting his hands away, and he just literally will not let him make the sign because he knows that Naruto's primary tactic is jump this man no jutsu. Like,
to be fair, he's been super effective throughout the series.
Yeah, and we see Sasuke go back to this one tactic that has only ever been effective on Naruto as an opponent. The cables that he uses, we see that one time in the Valley of the End in part 1, where he literally ties Naruto to a rock with those cables and then lights him on fire. For the record, Naruto should have been dead.
Series should have been done.
Yeah, word. And then Sasuke uses that again to break up Naruto's Shadow Clone again, like one final time. We even see a throwback to Kirin, which he used against Itachi. So again, all of these things culminate because he knows how Naruto fights and he knows the tactics that are effective against Naruto. The issue
and
is
vice versa, also with Naruto versus Sasuke.
I was gonna say, like, the issue is in this instance, Naruto is just so much stronger that it doesn't matter, and they still find a way to have a stalemate.
What Naruto realizes is I've got a lot of chakra. Let's use it.
Facts.
And that's essentially what it gives him the edge in that fight against Sasuke because when you can't outskill somebody. What's the next best thing? Exactly.
And
make it a power match.
And to give the shared history, it literally like the build up because you see these characters acquiring new moves and you want to see how they're going to use it against each other. You're like, oh my god, Sasuke has Susanoo. How is Naruto going to counter this? Oh my god, Naruto has Sage mode. It's like it builds up so much more hype.
And the giant Nine Tails Kaiju.
Yo, and you see, but like even that, like Diego was saying, like you see that. Throughout the series, you watch Naruto literally power through all of his fights. Like, he becomes a straight-up powerhouse. Like, he's not a tactician at all. But you see Sasuke learn. he has nature release by Shippuden, right? He has nature transformation by the beginning of Shippuden, and he like beats Datara like bad by using like chakra matchup and like this. He's such a tactics based fighter, and we see for the first time in the whole show a genjutsu that affects multiple targets by him using it on the tailed beast, right? And we see all these things that where it's like, okay, Sasuke is a technique-based fighter, and we see how that interacts with Naruto's power-based fights, because his whole thinking is, if Naruto can't use his power, I can beat him.
The problem is, Naruto's like, I'm going to use my power.
Yeah. And he even uses that porcupine move, the Hinokagu something, where he pulls he's like, well, I can't beat the 4 clones just straight up. So he uses a universal pull and pulls them in and stabs 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah, and to go into
was that with Amaterasu? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, but to go into how this fight ends, though, which I think is the best part of the entire fight, in my opinion, is when the music starts getting quieter and quieter, and you just start hearing their fists breaking bone. Yes. It sounds so raw and actually so real that it makes you like go from like the normal like getting, oh, this is hype, to like, wait, this is like brothers like beating each other into oblivion. Yeah. And it gives me like kind of a flashback to like how the past like Hokages have like tried to build peace but ended up doing the same thing.
It's also noticed like Naruto's eye is swollen shut. Sasuke has a busted lip. Sasuke's eye is off. Like, he literally has it closed because it's consuming chakra that he just doesn't have.
But it's swollen shut. Makes it the ending of the fight, though, when they both use their final move and their arms get blown off, just like how the blood at the end, like, connects them together with their broken arms, I just think is, like, the perfect way how they ended that fight. Like, it comes full circle.
Yeah. And Diego, you had a point before we move on.
Oh, yeah. So, well, just to keep going off of shared history, is that shared history comes up in so many fights, and it makes, I feel like it makes all the fights, like, almost ingrained into, like, the anime, like, history. Because when you look at, like, that Majin Vegeta versus Goku, like,
exactly.
Like, the shared history behind that, you wanted to see Vegeta and Goku go at it again, because you know that Vegeta's been training this entire time to surpass Goku.
Yeah.
And it makes it hype. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
It builds it up.
That
shared history is so important to have in a fight in order to make it memorable.
Yeah. The only difference between those two fights is I know Goku's gonna win. I know how that's gonna go.
Yeah. So, okay. So, moving on from, but, like, still kind of related to shared history is the character's personal circumstance, right? So, or to put that another way is what's at stake for this specific fight, right? As an example, right, you have fights where most of the shonen fights, for example, Byakuya versus Ichigo, right?
Yes.
A super iconic fight. What's at stake here is the life of Rukia, right? So if Ichigo loses, Rukia will die, and no one can save Rukia if they can't beat Byakuya, is essentially the premise of this fight. So,
last order, too.
Correct, because Byakuya is one of the strongest of the captains. Arguably, even at the end, I would still put him top 5 in the Gosei 13.
I'd argue even top 3.
Let's not get into power scaling.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that takes ranking, and I don't want to do that in this video. But even so, and you're expecting this guy who just unlocked Bankai, who has no experience fighting captains, right? And you expect him to win, or you need him to win, because otherwise this character's life is forfeit. So the things at stake there, if you guys don't mind a small little tangent about Byakuya versus Ichigo, and you guys can add in if you'd like. At this point, we've seen Byakuya pretty much look down upon everybody. He looked down upon his vice captain, Renji. He looked down on Rukia. He looked down on Ichigo. He looked down on all of the humans. He
didn't look down on Ichigo. He looked like way, way, way down.
Yeah, he was looking through the floor. Like, this man said, "You're not worth my time, and I'm just gonna kill you, so give up on Rukia." And the interaction they had prior to this was literally Byakuya putting Ichigo in the floor. Not even using a real technique. He just put him in the floor.
Yeah, and the one thing, though, about the two characters in general, though, if you think about it, if like you had no context going into this, all you knew was Rukia was in danger, I would have assumed Ichigo, based off like how much he's trying to fight the Protector, is the brother. Like I would just assume that. Like, but no, the brother's the guy trying to kill her, which I'm like, tough family
the guy
circumstances.
trying to kill him is the brother. Yeah.
Yeah. A sibling rivalry, eh?
That's the highest degree of sibling rivalry. That's like,
And so, like, I think the craziest thing about that is Byakuya has nothing to lose, right? So we want to see him lose, but he's dominating that fight for the most part, right? And we even see when Ichigo finally does get the leg up, he's so inexperienced with his Bankai that he starts to slow down. He starts to run out of steam. He starts, like, and even the way he wins, it's not even like a power of friendship. It's, oh, this fight's just gone on long enough, and he just barely edged out a win. Like, things like, yeah.
He shouldn't have won. Like, he should not have.
Correct. And it's the same thing when Ichigo fought Kenpachi. Like, I think Bleach does personal circumstance fights very well. Like, there's very often a character who has a lot more to lose than the other character, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, but I feel like that usually, like, that circumstances, they have more to lose, gives them a little more of that extra push in the fight when the two fighters are much more, when they're pretty even.
Yeah.
Like, having that little extra oomph.
Have you guys seen... Oh, go ahead.
No. You can do yours.
No, I was about to leave Bleach, so...
Well, I was gonna leave Bleach too. I was gonna talk about how you made up a good point. How where if one character has more to lose than the other one, then it does gives it a little bit more stakes. But what if even with the outcome of the fight, there are some fights that even with the outcome of the fight, both characters will lose. And
yes.
in a fight I'd really think is memorable for that specific reason is Usopp versus Luffy. Because
Agreed.
both characters, regardless of who wins, are losing a friend. And seeing the shared history between them, seeing how Luffy is like Usopp is Luffy's like best friend, almost
Yeah.
on the crew, you know, like he's always the one that's
goofing
like,
off with him and joking
goofing
around.
off with him, playing tag, doing childish stuff, doing stuff like that. You see them hanging out together, and you're like, oh my god, like they're the best as of friends. And then seeing them fight, and then you're just like, wow, like I don't care who wins this fight, I just want them not to fight. But they do, and it just it adds so much stakes to it.
Agreed. And even another anime that I will highly likely bring up again later is Fate Stay Night, or specifically Fate Zero, because you have 7 servants who are fighting for their honor, something, blah, blah, blah. Then you have Gilgamesh, who's one of the 7, right? Who doesn't care. His whole thing is, when he's summoned, he goes, this grail already belongs to me, so I don't care. I'm just doing this game for formality. And you have all of these characters, like, trying their hardest, fighting their best to try and win this grail. And at the end, spoiler, Gilgamesh wins. Right? Like, no matter how hard any of the others fight,
it's just not going to work.
It doesn't work out in their favor. We even see the main character, who she loses, Arturia. She literally loses, and she's forced to destroy the grail by a master who doesn't understand her, right? You have Diarmuid, who just wants an honorable fight, but he gets robbed of that by his master, right? So, like, you have all of these people who just lose, and no matter what, they all have everything to lose: their honor, their dream, their goal, their future, their past. And you just have Gilgamesh like, all the treasures of this world are mine, and he still wins. We've covered the shared history, we've covered the personal circumstance, but philosophy in a fight is so important. I low-key wanted this to be the last point, because I don't know how you top the character's philosophy, but there is one other thing that I deem
with a boom. That's how you top it.
Yeah, very, very important. But so getting into the philosophy, I think a good one to bring up is actually Naruto versus Pain.
Well, that's an obvious one if we talk about philosophy.
But like their philosophies are almost identical, right?
With a slight tweak.
No, not even with a tweak. Their philosophies are actually almost identical because Pain
They want
literally,
the same things.
yeah, they want the
They're
exact
just
same
going
thing,
about it different ways.
but they're not because when Pain asks what he's gonna do, Naruto literally says, "I'll kill you and bring peace to the world," which is what Pain is doing.
Oh, well, I'm thinking about Naruto's philosophy after he was like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know." You know,
But like what makes it interesting about that though is that when Naruto says that, Pain's like, and then the cycle will continue again. Because what about my friends? What about people that care about me? You killing me is just going to continue that cycle of pain.
Yeah, yeah. So like, but yeah, so that's the whole point of that fight, right? It's to point out the flaw in Naruto's philosophy. And we have other instances of that as well, where we have another character like, I'm gonna skip to Bleach again. We have another character who's like Ichigo, but more powerful. We have in Aizen, right? Aizen is a character who is powerful, who things come naturally to, like Ichigo, but like they have a vastly different philosophy, but they're
It
a
looks
similar.
better without glasses too. Can't forget that.
It's better without glasses. What a guy.
Am I wrong? Am
and-
I wrong?
And like, and then we have in Seven Deadly Sins, we have people like Meliodas and Zeldris. They're literally brothers raised in the same household, and they have a clash of philosophy because Meliodas knows other races aren't evil, but deep down Zeldris knows this too. But he was forced to kill his wife or lover. So like, you have things like that, and you have characters who are Obito and Naruto. They're the same character, but down a dark path. So, like, the battle of philosophy is such an ingrained point in anime. If you guys want, can you guys give me some examples as well? I know, Diego, I know you have one.
Okay, yeah, I have a great one for specifically for this one about and it's Luffy versus Katakuri.
Yes.
And it's the battles of philosophy where Katakuri's philosophy is I do not lose. My back has never touched the ground. I do not lose. While Luffy's philosophy is I lose, but just like his power rubber, I will always get back up.
Yeah.
I will constantly get back up. And it's great seeing that in a fight where the philosophies they're not even talking. They're talking with their fists. You see Luffy's philosophy is he doesn't have to talk and tell Katakuri what he's trying to do because once that kind of goes against Luffy's character preaching and stuff like that. Luffy I'm gonna beat your ass and we'll wait, can I say that?
Fall where they may.
He
Can
said,
I say that?
"Yeah, you're fine. You're fine."
Okay. But yeah. Luffy's philosophy. I mean, Luffy doesn't really preach. Luffy's a man of action, so he's not gonna tell you. He's gonna show you what his philosophy is.
He said these immaculate hands going to the talking.
Exactly. And so as you're seeing Katakuri beat him down, and Luffy just constantly, his eyes never die, his eyes never go dark, his eyes are always focused on his opponent in front of him. Katakuri's like, why? Why is it that he keeps getting up? Because in Katakuri's philosophy is losing is so disgraceful. Like how could you lose and get back up? Like that. So him changing that, Luffy changing Katakuri's philosophy by the end of the fight, where Katakuri goes, I now understand your strength. I'm stronger than you in every way. These characters are very similar in their fighting styles and stuff like that, and the way they care about their families. But he's like, I'm better than you in every way. But now I see your strength. I see the strength of rubber. I see the strength of losing, of being able to lose and always be able to get back up. And
I think that's very. It's also like symbolized by like he stops covering his mouth afterwards. Like he's unapologetically him.
Yeah, and to even think about that, it's even symbolized in the location they're fighting. Think about the location they're fighting, the mirror world.
Yes.
These two characters are mirroring each other. They have very similar abilities and very similar values. Just like Katakuri isn't really a villain. He's just trying to protect his family. Same thing with Luffy. They're both their goals are the same. I'm protecting my family. Luffy's protecting his crew, Katakuri's protecting his crew. Yeah. And seeing that helps really well when you're seeing them fight. You're just like, wow, like I can't even not root for this guy.
So I definitely have to say that I'm not current on One Piece. I do read One Piece, but I read it in chunks at like specific times.
Which I'm about to start doing because that's a great way.
I will say, Diego, I've never watched One Piece, but I'm just gonna nod in approval with it because it sounds good.
No. So I definitely saw that fight, and we see Luffy like awaken powers based on how Katakuri is
Yes.
beating him down. Like, what was it? Was it Snake Man? Was that the one?
Yeah, Snake Man and Observation Hockey. Well, actually, Snake Man he kind of already had, but
Yeah.
Observation Hockey he did awaken. He did learn
Yeah.
how to see.
Yeah.
So the fact
what-
that one second, Max, and
Yeah.
so the fact that like they're mirroring each other in such a way, and they're fighting that hard, and Katakuri's used to like just beating someone down, and they stay down. Because he knows that if he were to get beat down, he would stay down.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And to bring up that point about what you said about how Luffy is gaining abilities, they're not only are they mirroring each other, but they're becoming more like each other. Luffy wants to be more like Katakuri in terms of his strength, so he's trying to get his speed and he's trying to get his observation hockey back to the point of Katakuri. And Katakuri is mirroring Luffy and is becoming like Luffy in the sense of one, he's stopped being insecure about his about what people think of him, because losing is shameful. So he's like, you know what? Now I don't care about why people, see my scarred face. I don't care about that, and I don't care about losing anymore. I just want to fight and I just want to protect.
Yeah. And one last thing I want to talk about philosophy. The anime Demon Slayer has a lot of philosophy throughout the entire show. It doesn't necessarily play into all the fights, but the philosophy Tanjiro has of he's not killing demons out of anger or spite, but out of an act of mercy and kindness, which is very
for the most part.
There are the exceptions.
There are definitely notable exceptions.
But like most of the time, though, he's killing demons as sort of a merciful way or caring about them, while most other hunters are kind of there being like, nah, we just killing them because I can't say this on a podcast or on YouTube or flagged, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely so off of that point about Demon Slayer, I do like how this is shown with the Spider Mom. That's what I'm going to call her because I don't remember her name.
She was there for like 2 episodes. You're good.
Yeah, the Spider Mom, when he angrily jumps in to cut her head off because she killed his comrades. And then she looks like she's embracing death. And he changes his attack from the waterfall slash to the gentle rain. And she finds peace in death. And the fact that he notices that and makes the change. Notice most of his kills, he's acknowledging and accepting the demon he's killing.
Like one of the other ones was the one with all the hand.
The drum. The drum guy.
I'm talking about the hand. Also the hands one when he was getting his like certification.
Yes.
That demon's story was actually really tragic, and like you see how like all he wants is to be with his brother, and he puts his hand on the demon's hand saying it's gonna be okay. And it's just like when I saw that, I knew this wasn't gonna be the killing demons for the sake of demons. This was a philosophy of they're suffering. They're not like some demons are awful. We're awful people in life and are awful people in death.
But in death, they realize they're suffering.
Exactly.
Most of them.
And it's just the fact that he gets that philosophy from his sister. His sister also being a demon.
Yeah.
So it adds more to his to like the realism of the fact, like, of course he's gonna be thinking about while he's killing these demons, hunting these demons, he's gonna relate them to his sister.
And what makes it really interesting to me overall is how, like, you see in contrast to a lot of other demon slayers, how their philosophies are very, very different. Like, they're from a place of usually anger. And it's not necessarily that they fight each other, but watching those two philosophies butt heads throughout the series, I find is very unique. Not necessarily like a fight in a fight sense, but just sort of which philosophy is going to win out in the end.
That's fair. Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and move on from philosophy, unless anyone had any last-minute additions. The last point I wanted to mention is literally spectacle, right? So we have things that make a fight, right? Like deep, memorable. So you have the shared history, you have personal circumstance, you have philosophy. These all make a fight meaningful, memorable, and they make them matter. But sometimes you just want spectacle. Sometimes. Hold on. I'm sorry.
The choreography.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I did remember the last one that I wanted to talk about. but it also works for spectacle and philosophy, so I'm going to go ahead and say it now before I forget it again. So the fight that I think works best for spectacle and philosophy would be Archer. This is Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Archer versus Shiro. For those of you who don't know, and it is a heavy spoiler for that series, but it doesn't actually matter because it's super old. It is super old at this point. Archer is Shiro from the past and the future, because he's a heroic spirit.
Flip my table. I can't
So-
believe it.
Plot twist. Who
So
saw
he-
that coming?
So he becomes a heroic spirit in his future because he fails to save people during a terrorist attack, and right before he dies, he gives up his soul to become a heroic spirit so that he can save people and defend them. And throughout his years, he keeps getting sent to different points in time where he's literally just murdering people. Like, he's murdering the few to save the many, and he keeps doing it. He keeps murdering the few to save the many, murdering the few to save the many, murdering the few to save the many. And then he gets prosecuted and killed for doing that. And he keeps getting framed for killing all these people. And so this character literally has the same exact philosophy as our main character. He's just jaded through years of experience, years of tragedy. And this fight is culminated when he uses his special move, the Unlimited Blade Works, where he summons a pocket dimension that's both of theirs. Since they're the same character, they both have access to the Blade Works. And the way this philosophy manifests is, since they have nothing that's their own, they can make any weapon in this space. And they fight with those. And it's a completely one-sided stomp out. And it forces the future Shiro to look at the past Shiro and say, I used to be this driven, I used to be this pure, I used to want for the sake of wanting, I used to want to save everyone. And he doesn't lose the fight because he's outmatched. He literally says, this is cruel. It's like forcing me to look into a mirror. There was such a man once. He goes, a man who didn't know defeat, a man who didn't know sorrow. And then Shiro, the young Shiro, is having, I'm going to call them flashbacks, but they're like future visions of what's going to happen to him. And he has an inner monologue where he has to force himself to say, I don't pity him. I don't pity him. I don't pity him. But if this is how I'm going to end up, my heart's going to shatter. So he knows exactly why Archer is like that. And Archer knows exactly why Shiro is like that. They understand completely. But neither one can give up and go, no, neither one can say, I'm wrong. Because they're not. And even Saber, who's onlooking, she goes, honestly, I was faced with the choice of both of these things. And I had to say, I can't say either one is wrong. So if I step in, I'll be robbing one of them of resolution. But so now to get back to spectacle. To get back to spectacle, you have things like Dragon Ball Z with Frieza, or Dragon Ball Super with Frieza, Goku, and Android 17 versus Jiren.
Yeah, and we're talking about wasting the entire budget on this fight. Like, we put all the money into it.
Boom! You have Android 17 saying, I'm gonna be the support, and he's just shooting long range because he has unlimited energy. And then you have Frieza getting volleyballed off of Goku's fist, and Jiren just putting him in the dirt, and the Goku coming through with a kick, just da-da-da-da-da-da, and then it's a triple KO, and 17 wins because he's the only one who didn't fall off. Like, that was hype. I don't even like Dragon Ball.
But that was hype. Because anime and shonen spectacle fights don't always have to be the most action-packed or explosive. They can be ridiculously funny stuff.
And so I would like to mention one of my personal favorite anime of all time, Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans.
I knew you were going to mention that.
So, well, yeah, I told you beforehand.
No, you didn't. What are you talking about? No spoilers here.
So in the first season, on their way to Arbrow for the Democratic vote, Tekkadan is stopped on the train tracks by the Outer Earth Regulatory Joint Fleet, led
That's
by
unbelievable, though.
led by Karta Issue, who's this super old school member of the Seven Stars. Her family is the head of the Seven Stars, so technically she's the top ranking military official in this world. She's just not old enough to be the head of the entire organization, right?
But she's good at fighting. She got the
No,
hands.
no. But she will be because her family nepotism and
Well, I know,
whatnot.
but currently she got the hands, though, at least. The
Not
backup.
really. Not really. That's the thing. She's not
More
a
than you
serious
or me,
threat.
Devin.
So, like I said, they get stopped by the Outer Earth orbital joint fleet. Blah blah blah. Cool. And Carta issues a duel between. She says, "I pit our three best fighters," and she has three mobile suits. Her and two of her best men standing on the train tracks. And she says, "I challenge your three best fighters," and that would be Mikazuki, Akahiro, and Shino, right? And Shino and Akahiro are like, "Bet, I'm down, ready to fight," and they go, and Karta goes, "You guys have 30 minutes." Little does she know, Mikazuki is already in his mobile suit, and he jumps out, and while the three pilots are standing on their mobile suits, he turns the first one into a puddle. He takes his sledgehammer thing and just smashes the first machine. So now the second fighter runs to get into his mobile suit, and Mikazuki takes his Gundam's hand and backhands it. And all you hear is, and then you see the snow turn red. And then he tries to reach out and rip out the train tracks, and Mika rips the damn mobile suit's arm off and throws it. He is brutalizing these people who are up until this point you're thinking of as the villains, but you're watching this fight, and yes, it's revenge for all the stuff that's happened up until this point, but this is just brutal, right?
He's looking more like the villain here.
Mika runs up with this big ass pike and just starts beating down on Karta's machine. She's trying to back out, and she's like, "My name is Karta Issue," and he's like, "I don't care." He breaks her sword in half and literally runs it through her cockpit. And she's like, "I tried to challenge you fairly." He goes, "But you're in my way." And he just goes to push it all the way in. And then this other guy comes in to save her. And this whole fight you're watching and you're like, yo, Mika didn't have to do that. Like, she just challenged him to a duel. And she said, "If you beat us, you guys can go on scot-free." And Mika said, "We're going anyway." Right? like he said, "We're gonna go." And this all
that.
I mean, me too, but like he didn't have to do it like that. Because all of this spectacle is built up, and all of these stakes are built up, and all of this history is built up in the very next scene after Gaelio saves Karta. She's dying, right? And he's been in love with her since they were 9 years old, right? And she thinks that he's the guy that she actually loves. Right? Who's his best friend, Gaelio. McGillis. She literally calls out for McGillis with her dying breath, and she goes, "Did I do a good job?" And Gaelio has to pretend to be McGillis to bring her peace on her deathbed.
100%. And now to bring it to maybe a little more lighthearted. One that is very hype for me, like just hype fights, is Fairy Tail. Specifically, the entire tournament arc that they have with the Guild Games or whatever.
The Grand Games.
I'm gonna call it the Guild Wars.
Literally better than the Chunin exams in Naruto.
Yeah, because there's no specific fight I like more than there's a couple that I like a little more, but specifically the Twin Dragons versus Natsu and Gajil is hype. Like just watching these two go at, like they hyped up the entire arc.
Well, so I think that fight actually fails in the spectacle sense because it becomes a one-sided stomp out. It's literally not...
I found it satisfying.
Oh, it was definitely satisfying. And I don't think it's a bad fight. I just don't think it fits with the spectacle aspect because unless you count one-sided stomp outs as a spectacle, because
it can be a spectacle in its own right.
Oh, okay. Because
the one I'm gonna bring up is always a
Stomp out no jutsu, man.
Okay,
yeah.
Then yeah, let's cover yours real quick, Max, and then move on to Diego's. So the Twin Dragons are like, yeah, we're 3rd generation Dragon Slayers the whole time. They're like, we'll beat you 1st gens, we'll beat you 2nd gens, and then they have a quick exchange where it looks like they're gonna completely overpower them. Natsu puts Gajeel in a damn basket and sends him on a train track out of nowhere, so he's out of the fight. And then Natsu beats the bricks off of the twin dragons. I'm talking, these guys go Dragon Force, and Natsu stays in base and goes, bitch! Oh, excuse me. He goes, bop, 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 bop.
And they just don't do that. They also use that synergy move to combine their elements together to try and hit him.
What's it called? The
Resonance. No, not resonance.
the raid.
Fusion raid.
Yes, I think that's right.
They hit him with a fusion raid, and he's just like, nah, I'm just going to break right through all this, and you're all going to get the work.
Yeah, they go fusion raid, light and darkness, dragons roar, and he goes, oh, wow, that's cool. Fire dragons? Blah! And, like, literally just spreads it. I was like, bro.
Yeah,
it's unison raid. Unison raid.
Unison raid. And when they just both go down at the end, I'm just like, yo, that wasn't fair. He didn't have to do them like that. He really did. You could have let Gajeel beat one of them into the ground too. It would have been fine.
So yeah, again, I agree because again, you guys say one-sided stomp outs do count as spectacle, and you know what? I can see where you're coming from. So I'll definitely.
I mean, I think you'll agree with this with the fight that I'm about to bring up, which is a fairly recent one. Every time Gojo fights,
yes.
that is a spectacle. Every time Gojo Sensei fights, it is a spectacle. And not only
bad for the enemy, man.
Exactly. Not only is the animation and the choreography like on point and just eye candy, pure eye candy, but I love like the spectacles of overpowered abilities. Overpowered abilities.
What, you mean like just the time zone thing where you can't even touch him?
Yeah, the reaching that you're trying to reach into infinity or whatever, whatever it is he is, whatever he says it is, it's overpowered, and I love it because of that. I love how overpowered it is.
Even more of a spectacle is when he goes up and whispers in the enemy's ears like, "I gotta show off right here."
Exactly.
Hold this.
Yes. Just watching him fight, watching how he handles his enemies, and watching how confident he is a spectacle, and it's entertainment. It's pure entertainment.
Like every time he comes on screen, I'm hyped to watch that fight.
I agree because I want to see the interactions because we know he's the strongest and we know he's not going to lose.
Yeah.
But how he does it, like when he's teaching Jogo and Itadori about the
domain expansion,
and he goes, "Oh, in your domain, you'll absolutely hit me." Unless I do mine, and, that is absolutely a spectacle. I
felt the disrespect when he was talking every time. Like it was just, he's like.
So, does anyone have any final thoughts?
Well, just the final spectacle, an anime with tons and a manga with tons of spectacle. One Punch Man. Oh my God, the art and the animation is just perfect for every single fight. Season 2, you know. I haven't watched season 2 completely. I hear it's the thing.
I still really like them. I enjoy the animation from season 2 better than season 1.
Oh, that's interesting. I've heard a lot of bad things.
But I do understand it's because it looks slightly less spectacle, slightly less animated, I guess. But like, it seems more like, to me, it seems closer to the manga. So I don't know what people are talking about personally.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I feel like there is a little bit more detail. Maybe they lost the fluidity for the detail.
I think that's what it might be. But again, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but just in the manga specifically, when you're watching Garu and just specifically Garu fight and like the way the martial arts, the way he just like he's getting his ass whooped and then he just counters. The way he counters. It's a spectacle. You're just like, I want to see this guy counter. I want to see this guy, change his fighting style. Yeah. When he changed his fighting style into the dog, it was a spectacle because I was like, I haven't even seen a human move like that. But it makes sense to have him move like that, and it's now more difficult to fight him because now he's fighting two martial artists that are used to fighting humanoid type fighters. And
now he's fighting like a beast.
Exactly. Now he's fighting like a beast, and now their martial arts aren't working on him as well, and it's just eye candy.
And even if you want to take it to the season finale of One Punch Man,
season 1,
when he's fighting the what's the king's name?
I call him like Space Pirate King.
I know. Okay, so when he's fighting that dude,
Boros.
Space Pirate King.
Boros, yes. When he's
Boros.
boxing Boros and Boros is literally dying and regenerating and dying and regenerating, that whole fight is excellent. It looks so good. It's so spectacle, but you don't feel any sense of threat. You know that Saitama
You know
is
it's just eye candy. You
Yeah,
know you're
Saitama
literally just
is-
watching for this.
yeah, he's literally killing this man repeatedly.
But
But yes,
not only is he killing him, but as you can see when he does like the serious like straight punches, like the consecutive series punches,
yeah, it's like
you can see in you could see in the background the craters that his punches are creating within the land, and it's like wow, it's just
yeah,
it's good
and
to
so
see.
It's a cheat code.
So yeah, that's going to be it for all of our thoughts on what makes a fight scene memorable. We have, like I said, we have shared history between characters. I think that's best exemplified in, like, say, Naruto versus Sasuke, and Kakashi versus Obito,
Vegeta versus Goku.
Vegeta versus Goku, and even Usopp versus Luffy, like Diego brought up. Then we have personal stakes, which is pretty much every fight, so I'm not going to narrow that one down. But I will narrow it down to Byakuya and Aizen versus Ichigo, not together, because that would be a stomp out.
It wouldn't be fair.
The third thing we mentioned was philosophy. You have Archer versus Shiro in Fate Stay Night. You have Katakuri versus Luffy in One Punch Man. Max, what was the first one you mentioned?
You had
No.
Gintoki versus what was his name again?
Tatsugi.
Tatsugi.
Gintoki versus Tatsugi. And finally, you have Spectacle, which is Saitama versus everyone.
Genos. Every fighter won't punch
Pretty
man,
much One
honestly.
Punch Man. So again, we hope you guys enjoy this. I want to hear from you guys. What fights are most memorable to you? Leave a comment down below. Comment on Instagram. Tag us in Twitter. I want to see these fights. I want to hear from you guys. Let's make this a bigger, more expansive, more interactive community, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.